Well guys, when you work on cars, sometimes you have good days and sometimes you have bad days. Today was kind of a bad day. Today's plan was to clean up the engine bay, get all the grease and grime out of it. That went well. Didn't clean up as well as I was hoping, but I know that with some harsher chemicals like brake cleaner, even gasoline, I can get it cleaned up where I want it to be. And then the second part was to start stripping off all the seam sealer and start stitch welding the chassis. The seam sealer part went extremely well. It was way easier than I expected. But then it came to the stitch weld. I will put that I am an amateur welder at most. Nowhere close to being professional here. I would never weld something for somebody else probably if they asked me, just because I'm not very confident in my skills welding. Playing around with it quite a bit, and I just could not get the welds that I wanted for this chassis. It became very clear after probably a good hour, maybe two, that the skills that I have and that my little brother have weren't going to cut it to stitch weld the chassis. It was really kind of a humbling experience because I like to think that I know a lot about this stuff and that I'm good at it, and then fail so miserably. It's just part of working on cars. I'm gonna play with the settings on my welder some more. I am gonna have a friend of mine come in that's way better at welding, use my setup and see if maybe it's something to do with my welder, but most likely it's probably something to do with my lack of skill and being in just a little bit over my head. But unlike other YouTubers, I'm willing to admit whenever, hey, I'm in over my head. I need help. And that's just me being honest with you guys. Motor stuff, I feel very confident in. I'm somewhat certified in mechanic stuff. I went to Votech all through high school. I took every mechanic class that they had, all the way from electronics to AC to everything, you name it. If they offered it at Votech, I took it. But as far as fabrication work and welding and stuff like that, that is one area that I am not in any way certified. I'm all self-taught, and I am always learning in that area. And even with motor stuff, I'm always learning new things. But I'm definitely in over my head with some of this fabrication work, and very intimidating. I have some friends that are very good at it, so I'm trying to use this as a learning experience to make myself better, and then I in turn can make my little brother better as I'm teaching him things about this car. And honestly, he is surpassing me in so many aspects on this fabrication stuff. He's done a couple parts already that just blew my mind. While I was working on the wiring harness, he would be fabricating a part and I'd come over and just amazed at, one, his welds for being such a young welder. I mean, he's welded probably 3 times in his life. And then two, the time that he took to make those parts and make them fit perfectly. I was amazed to say the least. But I just needed to rant a little bit about the bad day that I've had. Also today, I looked at the calendar and I've got about 3 months to get this car done. Which sounds like a long time until you factor in real life. I do work a full-time job, really only get to work on this on the weekends, but I'm gonna have to start upping it to really working on it during the week a couple times, hitting it really hard on the weekends. It's very intimidating. I really want to have a car done so that I can compete next season, because it is a huge stress relief for me and really something, it's kind of my outlet. It gives me something to look forward to on the weekends whenever I've got an event coming up, and I just kind of get to leave everything behind, all the stress and anything from work. I just get to lay it down, I get to go out, I get to drive and have fun with my friends and become a better driver. So to not have a car for next season would really, really bug me, and it's something that I'm not okay with. So with that being said, I am definitely feeling the pressure of getting this car done in 3 months. I'm not too worried about mechanically done, but I really want the whole car done, as far as the chassis, the paint, the fab work. I just really want to have a fully complete car at the track I'm okay with some minor details not being there. I've got a lot of really cool plans for visual stuff on this car, but as long as it's painted, running good, and all the suspension stuff is done, then I'll be happy. I can add those visual things later. They don't have to be done before paint. They're added things like front splitter, back splitter. Anyways, I'm going to stop ranting now. I'm gonna turn off all the lights out here. I'm gonna put up all my tools. I'm gonna go inside and relax. Sometimes it is good to push through, fight that bad negativity whenever you're having a hard time working on the car. But other times, especially times like today, it's best to go ahead, call it a day, put your tools up, go and relax, come back to this with a fresh set of eyes, fresh mindset, a lot more motivation to get it done. Something I haven't admitted before. I had a wreck in this car. It wasn't terrible, but the damage was a lot worse than I expected. We thought it was fine for a while until we started tearing this car apart. We really didn't notice until we cut the core support how bad it actually was. It may be hard to tell just in this video. So this side's fine. This side's pushed in quite a bit. It's hard to tell in this video. Here, you can see it better in this piece. That's the normal side. That's the side that got hit. You can see how it's all twisted and bent. But this car eventually is going to get a whole tube front, so we're just going to try to hammer it out as close as we can by eye, and it should be fine. Alright, so we're setting the car down right now. It's the first time it's been on the ground since it had a motor in it, and we happen to notice one thing. She is sitting pretty low right now. Now you gotta keep in mind, there used to be a motor in this. And it's sitting that low without the motor. So, just gonna take a ruler here and look at our ground clearance. 3 inches. That's all you need. So the goal now is to get all this old caked on oil out of here, get these frame rails all cleaned up as much as possible. Basically just get everything as clean as we can so we have a nice fresh clean slate to work with. Rest in peace, fart cannon. May you annoy someone no more. Hey everybody, how's it going? On today's episode of Garage Talk, we're going to be talking about one of the mistakes I've already made, and I'm going to be removing the rack from this car. So first of all, as I talked about earlier in one of these episodes, I talked about how I was leaving the power steering pump attached to the rack because I didn't want to have to bleed it later on. Well, as I got working on the car, I got a little laxed on it, and it kind of spilled fluid everywhere. So let me show you what happened. So as you can see here, I set this to the side, I set it up there, and while I was not in the garage, it fell down, then leaking fluid all over the floor, which is not what I wanted. So hindsight, I probably should have reattached it back to the strut tower or zip tied it or something. I thought it was going to be fine, but apparently it wasn't. And now I got to go ahead and clean up all this fluid, and later on I'm going to have to bleed the system anyways. So really didn't save myself any time. Now I got to do the work I was trying to avoid. So with that being said, let's get started. So this is a trick I learned a very long time ago. Whenever you're trying to remove fluids from a car that has a reservoir of some sort, like a master cylinder or your power steering pump, something along those lines. If you get a turkey baster, this is just a normal turkey baster. I bought it at my local grocery store. And you can actually remove as much fluid as you can from that reservoir by using this and really have no messes at all. So I've got a jug that I keep. This used to be cat litter. And now I put all of my bad fluids in that. Once it's full, then I go ahead and take it to my local auto parts store. And they have a free disposal there where I can drain that. And I can actually take that container home with me if I would like. So that's my tip for the day. Now I'm going to get started on draining that power steering pump. So as you can see here, I've got my power steering pump right here. I've got my container right there. Now I'm just going to take my turkey baster and put the fluid in there. That's if there's anything left in this thing. Don't worry about all this mess. This whole rack is going to get clean once I get it out of the car. I just wanted to go ahead and get that drained as much as possible before I remove the rack. And I pretty much did that without getting any more on the floor. Not that it mattered since I already spilled so much on the floor. Also, if you see, fluid's going to continue to kind of collect down on the tip of this thing. So find somewhere that you can set it straight up. I usually put a rag underneath it like this. I just kind of let it collect all at the bottom, then I'll put it back in that recycle container. wax out. Now the fun part is going to be trying to get this out of the car. I just want to kind of show you some of the struggles I go through working in a single car stall. I have a 3-car garage, but my wife's car goes there, my Mustang goes here. So this is my workshop. It's a 1-car stall in my garage. I refuse to park the Mustang outside. I refuse to make my wife park outside. So I really can't make any more space. So here's what I got going. These are spare parts as I'm working on the car. It's a box to put important stuff in if I need to get it out of the garage. So I have a lot of stuff in, we'll just say a stored area. And so I take a lot of boxes of parts, I label the boxes, I get them out of here. Fenders, I've got like my intake, my pop-ups, the heads for the LS. Down here, I've got my fluid thing that I was talking about in this video, my block fuel cell. Around there, I've got like my little air compressor. Come over here, my toolboxes, my workbench, my heater, obviously the motor, and the stand. I come on this side, and I've got all of my metal for the fabrication stuff. And as you can see, this is really tight. Like here, I'll stand here. You just get an idea. Like, I'm basically touching on both sides. So I end up using the inside of the car a lot for storage. I got stuff sitting on top of it. This is a lot to do in a 1-car stall, but I am a very determined individual. Skeeter, we don't give up, do we? She said, heck no. See the little tongue blip? She said, no, blip, nope. We don't give up. So, that being said, this is just my current frustration for the night, is I have no space. I really have no idea where I'm going to even set this thing. I'm going to do some reorganizing in here. That stuff's really boring, I'm sure, for you guys, so I'll go ahead and just cut that out of this video. I'll get this all organized, and yeah, we'll just keep plugging away on the 240. Ta-da! So, I'll show you how I reorganized. Remember the piece I said was going to be in my way earlier? Well, it was, so I put it back where it was. I put the wheel cradles underneath the frame rail on each side. Now if we come over here, I've got the tires, control arms, the rotors, everything that I just took off. I moved all of the stuff that was here, either under the car, on top of the car, and I was able to put the whole rack assembled here. So now I've got so much more room on the inside. Now I can really get in here, clean all this stuff up, and get it ready to stitch weld and paint.
This is Bob. Bob is the owner of Bradley's Speed Shop. Bob has been a longtime friend of mine and somebody that I often go to for car advice. Bob has done everything from ground-up restorations to tuning suspension on Porsche race cars. So anytime that I find myself having trouble with cars, I'm able to call up Bob, and he's always willing to point me into the right direction and give me some good sound advice. Whenever I came to Bob asking advice about stitch welding and told him some of the struggles that I was having with it, he said, how about this? He offered to come over to the shop and not only offer to help me, but he said that he would do some of it as well. That was an offer that I couldn't turn down.
And just like that, the engine bay is stitch welded. I'm just blown away with the results here. it made such a huge difference for Bob to come over to one, show me what I'm doing, and two, to let me use his welder. It was such a big difference, and I am super happy with the results. Now that the stitch welding is done, I can go ahead and move on to some other fabrication stuff. I'm super excited to show you guys the next step in the fabrication process. I think this is one that I'm going to be able to handle on my own. Me and my little brother will get it knocked out probably a day. But this is a huge landmark for me. This is ginormous. To have this done is such a relief off my chest. Really, it took one day, and that was with Bob showing me exactly what to do, everything that I was doing wrong. He was kind of coaching me through it. He did quite a bit himself. I'd say he probably did half of this. I did the other half. He may have actually done more than half. I am super thankful. I could not have done this without his help. Bob, thank you, sir. You are a lifesaver. Alrighty, guys, that's where I'm going to end this video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this. This will probably be my last video until after Christmas. So from my family to yours, Merry Christmas. Whatever it is you're celebrating, I hope you have a great time with your family. And from the Skeeter Racing family to you, thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you after the holidays. Bye-bye.